Let's open the conference today with the recently listed SRJ Technologies. SRJ develops and distributes a range of weld-free coupling and leak containment solutions for pipeline and process pipework systems in Jersey, Australia, and the UK. It provides specialised engineering services and containment management solutions, elevating integrity management performance for its customers. On the line, we have Alexander Wood. Alex is SRJ's co-founder and CEO. He's going to give us a quick overview of the company and its outlook for the year ahead. Over to you, Alex.
Thanks, Laura. Morning, everybody. I'll give you an overview of SRJ. Obviously, we've recently joined the ASX and commenced operations in Australia. If we can go to the next slide there. Next slide, please. SRJ is primarily an asset integrity business. We're working across multiple sectors. One of the attractions to enter the Australian market was the variety of industries available to us. The flange market, which would be the primary market we compete within, is a multi-billion-dollar market. The technology barriers to entry are significantly high. The company's already met those and is approved. And primarily our technology is a faster, quicker weld-free solution, which is highly relative to the current OPEX environment. If we can get to the next slide, please. If we can get to the next slide, please. The company highlights is that we've got strong industry tailwinds, obviously, particularly with the events of 2020. There's been a huge amount of delayed critical maintenance, which is now being caught up on. Most of the major operators around the world have delayed maintenance into 2021. So there's going to be potentially a projected shortfall of manpower. So technology is potentially an interesting opportunity. We've got a very strong management team who've worked together previously in major players such as Petrofac. The technology is fully granted intellectual property in multiple jurisdictions. We've got significant competitive advantages to many of the technologies in the market at the moment, and the ability to leverage some of the people who've participated along the journey, most recently into the IPO. Next slide, please. The company initially registered IP around 10 years ago, developed that IP, took it through a relatively complex IXP2 testing procedure. The technology is approved by Lloyd's Rating, an American Bureau of Shipping, so it's fully approved to be deployed on offshore vessels. We've got a number of strong industry partners which are growing rapidly and have seen significant further interest since the recent listing. So anticipate that will put us in a very interesting position to enter the market in 2021, as we're seeing other competitors look to contract given the challenges of the volatility this year. Next slide, please. The industry and markets around Australia have been one of the key factors that have seen us have a desire to list on the ASX. Is that the technology was primarily conceived around the oil and gas sector, but since having been in Australia from this year, we've been deploying in mineral processing, mining, and other industries, which are key to the kind of planned growth over the next 5 years of the business. Next slide, please. The industry drivers are fairly well known, but there's a significant driver in terms of safety, risk mitigation, sustainability, and compliance. The technology has been designed, proven, and qualified in relation to those key elements. Aging assets around the world are requiring greater intervention in a more complex regulatory environment, and we're working hard to assist our key customers to meet those challenges. There are obviously a limited number of ways that you can deploy technologies on active facilities, and our technology is very much in line with the requirements of the industry currently. Next slide, please. The competitive landscape, as we mentioned at the beginning, is that there's a very large marketplace for the connections market, which is in multiple of billions. The number of 1.4 billion of flanges in that market alone. Our competitors are all generally north of 100 million turnover. Where our technologies developed and delivered, manufactured in all of the key territories that we're selling product. We're manufacturing in 5 locations currently in Australia. We've already deployed it this year, both West and East Coast, and are seeing significant scopes across Australia, into Asia, and into the Middle East. Next slide, please. The company's suite of key products at the moment really assist operators deal with containment of active vessels, as well as CapEx projects for hookup of modules building, which obviously in the current environment isn't as active as had been planned, but we're seeing far greater activity in the containment and operational space, trying to keep vessels operating in these difficult times. The weld-free coupling is the first product on the slide there, which is basically a way of connecting pipes without a welded flange. The second product there is a containment product, which deals with low wall thickness pipes. We've been deploying that product in Australia this year. And the third product there is a product to allow you to maintain flanges and keep pipes in operation. And we're seeing significant interest in this product for bolting scopes on a fairly global basis at the moment. The last product there is bespoke solutions we provide to the market. We provided some of these to refineries in Western Australia during COVID and other difficult, challenging situations where a non-standard solution isn't applicable. Next slide, please. One of the key products in our portfolio is our welded coupling. The challenges of welding, as well as the hot works, is that it's a timely and costly process. As you can see here, these are based on a 10-inch pipe connection, seeing 30 hours to connect the welded flange versus 4 hours to prepare and connect one of our coupling. There's obviously no hot works, no welding, so limited risk. And it's much lighter, which obviously when you're looking at offshore facilities has a bearing on design and modification. Next slide, please. Our business model is very much to deliver local content. We've recently signed an agreement allowing us to enter Saudi Arabia, and they've got an active program there of in-kingdom value add. We work with clients to understand their asset integrity management needs, and we have a team of highly skilled individuals in their field who've got a long history of working within the industry on major projects such as, Gorgon, Ras Laffan, and we identify the needs of clients. We look at where our current product portfolio can deliver in terms of allowing them to contain any leaks and maintain compliance in the industry, and we tend to then deliver those locally to ensure that they can be readily available within the market. Next slide, please. The sales opportunities are changing. The new build opportunities are tending to be delayed. We've all seen the Browse project, which was the $23 billion vessel, has been delayed for an unidentified period. So there is somewhat of an unknown about the CapEx opportunities in the market, but we're seeing increased requirements for all of the operational assets around the world, which look like they're going to be driven longer and harder particularly in the hydrocarbon space, to deliver for their owners. And we really work, from new build all the way through to life extension and decommissioning. And that's very much where we're currently focusing our efforts. Next slide, please. We've got a number of collaborative relationships, and they're growing. We have a relationship with a global engineering business backed by Carlyle Group called NMEC, and we're working with them across Aberdeen through to Australia, having delivered projects in the Middle East as well. Obviously, the recent partnership with Mitsui is seeing us work through their portfolio. One of their partner companies, Zamco and the Zamil Group, we've signed an agreement to enter Saudi Arabia, allowing us to manufacture, promote and deliver product. They're actually, the Zamco Group own the largest chemicals business in Saudi Arabia. So we're gaining interesting access to the marketplace. Mitsui also own the world's largest FPSO operator, Modec, and we're currently working with their key management teams to look at the bolting scopes and requirement across their global fleet. We're working on opportunities with John Crane for a drone-backed methane detection survey technology, with SRJ providing the leak containment element to that. So we've got a number of notable, significant partners when it comes to global distribution. Next slide, please. We've got a number of operational manufacturing partners, and those are growing. There's actually a number have been added to this list since this slide deck was created. We're manufacturing in 5 locations in Australia. We're currently in talks to look at the opportunities in Asia, as well as looking to deliver a significant amount within the Brazilian marketplace, which is seeing a lot of opportunity in the FPSO space. Next slide, please. The growth plan for SRJ was very much to achieve a listing this year to ensure that the business was well capitalized to service growth that we saw in the industry. With the volatility of this year, that's left us in a very interesting place, with some of our competitors focusing on core markets that they're from, such as North America. We're very keen and agreeing scopes at the moment to enter the South American market, where the largest FPSO fleet is in the world, as well as interest in North Africa and the recent agreement we've signed to enter the Middle East. We're looking at with interest the kind of growing hydrogen market, and see significant opportunities for us in this sector, as well as progressing our footprint within the digital sector. Next slide, please. We've got a very strong board and management team. Robin Pinchbeck was one of the key team which took Petrofac to its public listings on the main London market. Myself, with a background in oil and gas. Grant Mooney, we brought on board in Australia, who's on the board of Carnegie Energy and understands the regulatory and listed environment in Australia relatively well. And Dr. Andrew Mitchell, who is very active in the technology sector, particularly in the digital sector. Next slide, please. The management team also formerly worked, a number of them, such as Roger Smith and Dr. Paul Eastwood, with Robin Pinchbeck at Petrofac. Their business was actually acquired by Rob into Petrofac, and was extremely active in the Australian market under a business called Plant Asset Management, where they worked on pretty much all of the major projects across Australia in the last kind of 10 or 15 years. Stefan McGreevy was formerly head of audit for PwC, and has a lot of experience in the finance sector. David Milner was one of the founders of Engineering to Operation, which was an acquisition by Clough Energy, and at its peak was turning over circa 200 million Australian dollars. Next slide, please. the highlights of our journey so far is, we believe we're entering the market at a very interesting time where there's a great focus on cost-effective operational delivery. We see there being significant interest in our types of technologies, with the challenges of the reduction of manpower desired to enter plants and facilities, with the infection risk of COVID, as well as the cost savings being hugely desirable, given the price pressure in a lower oil price environment. We've got a very experienced management team who've got experience working together in other businesses and building the business. We've got a very strong intellectual property portfolio, which is growing as we grow. Our technologies have been designed with significant focus on the incumbent technologies within the marketplace. And we've already added, as has been announced in the market, a number of significant players such as Zamil and Mitsui, who are looking to leverage their significant global footprint to grow the business. Next slide, please. I think we'll open this up to any questions for anyone who's got any questions about where we are and where we're going, Laura.
Thanks, Alex. If anyone has any questions, please pop them into the Zoom chat function, and we'll address them on this call. We don't have any immediate questions right now, Alex, but if we do get any coming in, we'll be sure to pass them on to you, and I'm sure your company can answer them in due course. Oh, we do have one that has just come in as I just said that.
Okay.
Just down the line. Someone wants to know if you can expand on why Mitsui invested directly in the company.
Mitsui have obviously had an incredible run in the huge growth in the key territories where they operate, such as Australia, North America, and Brazil, where they're major investors. Obviously, there's a reduction in CapEx spend, so the opportunities to invest, or secure multi-billion-dollar projects in the CapEx environment are being reduced, and they're really looking at how they can refine their operating and be more efficient with some of their very integrated business, such as Modec, where generally they've used third parties to deliver that work, and because of the volume of work going on in the marketplace, they haven't really been concerned about paying that money away. Now they're looking at businesses such as ourselves, so they can really internalize those functions and put those scopes out to businesses that they're also invested in.
Interesting. So obviously Mitsui is huge in Japan. Can you talk a little bit more about what the plans are there, and maybe what sort of time frame we could expect?
Yeah, I mean, we're currently going through a process of engaging with Mitsui's portfolio companies. Primarily, our relationship is with Mitsui Steel, and we are working with them to look at deploying our technologies into their portfolio companies as a way to work with them to help them to deploy product. I mean, there are 25 FPSOs in the Brazilian marketplace absorbing several $100 million worth of pipes and repair technologies. They're all generally procured from the local marketplace. We see an opportunity to look at that on a more global basis with a company like Mitsui, who are active in so many different sectors. So they really see us as an opportunity to understand the OPEX environment, which they're currently not really drawing revenue from. They've really just been focused on building these huge assets, not really servicing them, and they are now looking at that in the kind of volatility that's been seen this year, and that probably wouldn't have seen them look at us had this volatility not occurred. But we're generally going through this process of them of working to their portfolio to identify where there are relevant opportunities for us with them.
And Alex, what other partnership opportunities could be available to SRJ? What do you foresee?
I mean, in terms of partnerships, we're always talking to the major operators, and I think we see the relationship with Zamil and the relationship with John Crane and Mitsui as great proving grounds for us to organically grow across the rest of the business. We obviously engaged with particularly one major Middle Eastern operator and didn't conclude an investment with them earlier on in our growth. And really what we've been looking for, and I believe found in the partners we've got, is a far wider aperture in terms of the variety of businesses they're operational in. Obviously, most people are aware Mitsui, just in Australia and Brazil, are active in everything from mining, mineral processing. So that's really giving us opportunities. We've already extracted this year ability to gain a wider aperture for selling our product than just the original core focus of the oil and gas.
Thanks, Alex, for that presentation, and good luck with travelling back to Australia from the UK tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Thanks
Cheers,
for joining
Laura.
us. Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.